I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 4th meeting of the Simon Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees. We have a quorum. We did receive minutes for the last 2 months. So what we should do is first look at the minutes for March 26th. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read through them. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so are there any questions, corrections, anything?
What is the difference between full-time, part-time wages and salaries?
That's not a question about the minutes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that would be something to bring up in a discussion about those things under the budget, I would think. But right now, we're just asking about corrections to the minutes.
None.
All right. Hearing none, no others. Entertain a vote to accept the minutes as written from March 26th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Did somebody move
Aye.
it? Did it get moved?
Yes.
Yes, it did. It did.
Okay.
And seconded.
Okay.
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 Um,
And I.
I know. Opposed, abstain. I think we're good. Okay, so March 26th minutes were unanimously approved. So now we're going to move on to the April 23rd minutes, which I have to apologize. Ellie was gracious enough, and I was going to do it myself, but she did it. She ended up doing it. I was kind of taken off guard when at the last meeting when Justin said at the last minute that Ellie wasn't going to be here, and we were all just kind of saying how, oh, she must be getting ready for her daughter's wedding, and then finding out later that it was a serious medical emergency.
Oh,
But
no.
anyhow, everything's fine now. I did not have the wherewithal to ask if someone would be willing to take minutes. But on the other hand, no other board members asked, should somebody be taking minutes? So anyhow, Ellie did it by watching the video. So the minutes from April 23rd are taken from the YouTube show. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from April 23rd?
Motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So do we have questions? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes from April 23rd, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, minutes from both months have been unanimously approved. So moving on to the financial report.
First thing I'll do with my financial report is answer the question. Full-time wages is the children's librarian and the circulation librarian, because they're both scheduled for 33 hours a week, the equivalent of town full-time. Salaries is me, because instead of getting an hourly wage, I get a contractual yearly wage that's based on my employment contract with the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
Are we good?
So if you're less than 20 hours a week, you get in this part-time wages line item. If you're more than that, you get into full-time wages line item. And if you're an employee with a salary contract, you're in the salaries line item.
Okay.
So we have a gob of personnel cash, which will be turning over to the town at the end of the fiscal year. Because, Matt's personnel budget is always different from my personnel budget, and the numbers that he runs is different than the numbers I run, and we always end up with a surplus. General operations, we're getting close to the wire. It's the end of the fiscal year. So not a lot of good books come out this time of year. I usually spend more than 75% of the circ budget before Christmas because most of the good titles come out in fall. And
You could get
now
a couple more digital copies of You Like It Darker.
you like it darker.
Yeah.
Just for instance.
Book, ebook or audio?
Ebook or both, I guess. Yeah. I think the audio is easier to get.
Do you still have, I thought you had sent this emergency thing to us yesterday or something like that, that you were overspent in your circulating materials budget and you wanted permission to take money out of LIGMEG grant money.
Yes, I do. But that's not related to the town budget. That's related to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners minimum expenditure requirements. Basically, what happened this year is I have always used circulating material as kind of the pull from account because it's always been very over budgeted in comparison to the 19.5% we have to spend on circulating materials to remain eligible for state aid. This past year, I lost 2 cushions because we could not use, we couldn't count the cost per circ as circulating materials anymore, which is why we've been paying for it out of the grant with that $600 a month budget. And Moan, I've always had Moan to rely on because we've always spent Moan money, and that always pushed our numbers up to the point where, in terms of like our municipal circulating book budget, I've never really had to be cognizant of that because we've always been well over the 19.5%. This year, that wasn't the case because we didn't spend much special account money on circulating materials. Usually we spend, a lot of money out of grants and donations on circulating material. This year, that didn't happen. So I'm about 2,000 shy of meeting that minimum expenditure requirement. Even if I do spend kind of what we have left on circulating materials, and it's in keeping in reserve enough to pay for the last electric bills, telephone bills, and other random stragglers that come in at the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
So
But I do need to start budgeting 2 years in advance. I've always been looking at the bottom line because that's all the town cares about. And you reach this point in the game and you're like, well, I need to budget more for
I
next
know.
year.
Now you're playing. I know.
But it's too late because the budget's already set.
I live that, Justin.
Ellie said something to me a few weeks ago, which stuck in my head, just go ahead and start preparing the budget for FY26 instead of FY25, skip the numbers up to there. So then we'll be able to hopefully catch up and get them where they need to be.
Justin, I lived that life before I retired. I feel your pain. It's so hard to figure
it's frustrating because it is something that I should have been more on top of and more aware of. And hopefully in the upcoming fiscal year, once I've delegated a whole bunch of stuff that has me chasing my tail, then I'll have, be able to stay on top of this stuff better.
Yeah.
So can you lower or get the total budget? I can't remember what it is. Total budget. I can't see it on the screen right now. Can you move it down a little bit? So at the top of total general fund. So what is 19.5% of $298,008? That's what is it? 60,000?
Yeah, that's what we've got to spend.
Well, you have to pay of your total budget municipally assigned to you, which is $298,008. It's right up here under total general fund budgeted. So you have to multiply that by 19.5% to find out what your circulating material budget should be. And if it's not 60,000,
It's close.
well, what is it? I don't have.
It's 58,111.
So
It's 58,111.
okay, so you're fine.
Well, we have only spent 52
Oh, I see. So you,
out of our operational accounts right here. And we also
Okay.
get to count what we've spent out of other accounts. So that will include the circulating materials that came out of grants, minus 37, 32. And then subtract the ones that we got out of regular donations, which is 1993.95,
So
which leaves us short 3284.44.
that you
I
have,
am confident that I can take care of 1,284 out of that with, you know, what we have left, the 3,113.42. And then with an extra 2,000, we should be able to meet the 19.5 without fear.
okay, back up for 1 second. What was you felt confident to take out how much?
2,000 out of grants.
No, before that. 1,000 something?
Like we've got 3,113 left in our operational budget, just municipal money.
Right.
And so between that and 2,000 out of grants, I should be able to cover the additional $3,284.44 that we need to spend on circulating materials before July. Or
By
before
June
June 30th.
30th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so.
okay, and so tell me that the 58,000, what was that total again? 58,000.
$58,111.56.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah,
that's,
that is our MER, materials expenditure requirement.
material expenditure required. And so what happened is that you had borrowed money from circulating material to help with things like other supplies or
Other supplies, repairs and maintenance, office supplies.
Right,
Okay.
so that's where the negative numbers are, right?
Yep.
Okay, because that was going to be one of my questions. It's all tying in now. I get it. I totally get it.
so how are you going to remedy this for forever?
Well, in FY26, I'm going to budget these numbers. Or, oh gosh, this is going to look really funny for a second. And then I'm going to, there we go. Yeah, I plug in these numbers to the next fiscal year budget starting now instead of waiting until budget season and then trying to predict what we need.
Justin.
And while circulating material has always kind of been the dump fund that we borrow from, next year
Right.
that'll be repairs and maintenance because we've got almost $20,000, you know, in that. Although I've already got plans for some of that.
Yeah, watch out. Don't go planning too quickly.
They're on my whiteboard.
It's already spent. It's gone. Okay, so I think I understand. Oh, how's everybody else? Okay,
Yep.
okay. I
There
looked
hasn't been a lot of change in any of the other.
I know, I looked through everything else and it seemed pretty much
Last month I was reporting we got like ridiculous amounts of interest in our accounts. And then this following month, the interest amounts were like ridiculously small, like 15 cents and
Right.
20 cents.
Well, gee, that's what the local banks give you.
So it jumps around.
It's like a conglomerate, right? So that it's kind of front loading and then it gets it back the next month kind of thing. We're tied to several accounts, right? In the town?
Yes, like the money that we have invested with the Bartholomew Trust, like all the money that's invested there together with all the various different accounts.
Right.
The
So
more
that
there
I
is in the
think that
pot, the
makes
more
up for
everybody makes.
for how they catch up to themselves at some point.
Hi.
Hello,
I got cut off somehow. Sorry.
Oh,
welcome back.
we are going through the director's report.
Are we on director's report now? Are we good with finance?
Oh,
report?
we're good. I think we're good. I think you explained that because I had some questions when I read through it in the beginning, but that's good. All right.
Circulation in April was unprecedentedly high. We circled over 2,000 books, which has never happened in an April before that I could find on record. Although I was expecting that this past month we would surpass, the threshold of circling more digital items than physical items, and that didn't happen because we searched 2,000 books. I don't know if everyone just decided to collectively make a liar out of me, but the numbers haven't flipped yet, and they haven't flipped because I was able to take a look at June's numbers too, and they still haven't. It's close, like we searched a lot physically in relation to digital in April, and then in May it kind of evens back out again.
As a pay,
news,
okay, go ahead.
Matt,
As a pay,
oh, you go ahead. I'm not talking to
no,
you.
I just wanted to say, as a patron, one possible explanation about the upturn in books is I'll have a hold on a digital item, and then I go browsing and I see that there's a book available right now.
Yeah, that's happened to me too.
So I'll read the book while I wait for the digital.
I have a different comment, so I'll wait until your thoughts are done, and then let me ask my question.
I think we're all set. Ellie?
Okay, what I know we've asked in the past, that to identify the digital circulations. What is an ebook? What is an e-audio book? And what is an e-magazine? I'm sort of interested in the magazines now. I didn't realize that you could get magazines until I saw statistics in March or something like that. So I didn't realize that. And I think that's phenomenal for I like all the cooking magazines and stuff like that, but I don't,
Right.
I don't need to actually look at the paper copy. I like to look at the e-magazine one. So if you could include that in when you spell out the digital stuff, I think it's important for us to know, how many people are taking out ebooks and how many people are taking out e-audiobooks and how many people are taking out the e-magazines to sort of switch the emphasis on what format, paper
Right.
or all those digital ones.
That's a really good point, Ellie. It is because when you're on Libby, you can click off how many different kinds of categories you're looking for. So I think
But
that's a good.
but you're limited to 10 holds too.
No,
It's
no, no,
not-
no. But what I'm saying is, you have the opportunity to look at
Yeah.
magazines and all these other things, periodicals.
Mhm.
I think that's a good idea. What do you say, Justin?
My Zoom crashed and I am back on now, but I missed some stuff. But I think the gist is start separating ebook circulations into ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Are those-
easily doable.
Yeah, because I just to reiterate for 1 second, to make myself a little more boring, is that it's good to know like where you're at. Like we said, like Ellie was saying, are we there?
Yep.
I'm here,
There?
yes.
Okay. I keep getting these weird screens showing people are signed out. But yes, that would be a really good thing to be able to do that. Just to end that.
Is my screen still sharing or do I need to set that up again?
I see you.
I see you.
There we go.
Here we are.
Yeah. Good.
Hopefully this does not crash again. Okay.
If it does,
so,
it's a sign.
Baker and Taylor Premium Service has been set up. This is going to cost us $150 a year, but this allows us to import copy locations and circ modifiers and everything for what we have bought in a Baker and Taylor cart, upload it into Evergreen Acquisitions module so patrons will be able to see what we have on order as soon as we buy it, instead of once it arrives. So, I don't know if some of you see other libraries, you can place holds on copies
Right.
2 or 3 months before they're actually out. That will be a reality for us too, as soon as we're done with the training and we get it up and running. And it'll also make purchasing easier because I'll be able to see whenever I'm going through holds queues what we have already bought without having to cross-reference to Baker and Taylor because it'll show up right in our catalog.
Can I ask a question on that?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the $150 that Baker and Taylor charges for that? Is that built into just a one thing? And can you count it as circulating materials part of your budget? Because I know any book that you buy from Baker and Taylor or elsewhere, you can use that for your circulating material amount. But is that $150 part of that? Is it just
No, it is not.
spread
It'll count
around
as
for
either
half a cent a
other
book or something?
service.
Would that come under membership or something like that?
It will get classified probably under this professional and technical consultants line item, which is the same that our CW Mars assessment comes out of.
Okay.
Either that or other services. I'm sure that, the finance office will throw it back to me with the corrected GL number on it that aligns to
Right.
what they need for tonic.
Well, I think do we need to vote on that?
No, it's just like
No,
operation.
it's just part of the, okay.
The phone lines have been upgraded. So if you call the library now and we are on the phone with another patron, you will get a message saying we're on the phone with another patron, and we'll call you back as soon as we can. And I'm still ironing out a few of the kinks. We don't get an alert whenever there's a message waiting for us. We have to like manually call in like you would a cell phone line and, you know, call into the voicemail.
Wow.
But this will let us, you know, not tie up the phone line. You know, if we're need to call patrons about various stuff, we're not keeping them from call us. And it also filters out anonymous calls. So all of the Google My Business calls and the fax calls that we pick up the phone for, you know, a dozen times a day just to hear beeps, will stop. And this is going to cost us a grand total of about $6 extra a month.
So how does that fit with your budget? On what the budget for next year for starting July 1st? Is it the
We'll
same
have to
amount?
adjust it for the following year because it's too late to adjust to next year's budget.
Do we need to approve that? Let's see if you had mentioned if the trustees would approve.
What I would like the trustees to approve is spending $50 out of grants to buy a new phone headset because our phone headset, one of the units has died, so we only have one receiver.
Okay.
Completely serendipitous, happened at the same time.
Okay. I will request a motion to approve $50 for a new phone headset. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second,
All right. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Carried unanimously. Look at that, Justin.
Okay, and it's from LIGMEG?
Yes, please. I was researching what kind of, you know, handset and phone docking system will best suit our needs, and it's the exact same one I bought in 2015.
There you go.
Well, that's, how long is that?
You know
Been
what?
9 years?
I have a rotary dial phone downstairs. It's bright red. It was my mother's. If worse comes to worse, we could plug that in somewhere.
For people to have children experience what it used to be.
Yes, my grandchildren, my grandsons go crazy over that phone.
Yeah.
And
We
I'm
have
trying
that.
to
We have
find
the
an
same thing in
active
our house.
landline
Yep.
where I can plug it in and have them actually call a number and see how it works.
Yeah, that it's funny when you watch kids to do that. We have that experience whenever a kid comes into our house. What is that?
One of Deb's story times recently, you know, one of the books was my grandmother is stuck in a phone. So grandma is stuck in a phone. The kid thinks she's stuck inside of a telephone. And it was so confusing to all the kids because they had no point of reference to understand what the heck was going on.
I love it. I so love it. Could do a whole day. Could do a whole week of preschool stuff about the good old days or anywhere. But anyhow, I digress. Let's move on.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
No,
one
it
of our
wasn't.
friends, but to my 5-year-old, it was before his life.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Well, we still use it in our house, so.
I figured you would,
Well,
Ellie.
Evan doesn't do anything digital or phony, you know, he doesn't have a phone. He has the house one, and that's it.
Sounds
Okay.
heaven.
And he refuses to have a,
Is it, he's actually, but he's pushing buttons, right?
well, he's pushing buttons or dialing. We have a rotary one too.
Okay, all right. Maybe I can come to your house and have the
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, won't that be fun?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Moving on.
We've gotten 10 applications so far for the evening library positions that we posted. So we won't have a shortage of qualified candidates looking at their applications so far. So that is exciting. We're considering, expanding hours. If we start on July 1st, that is going to have us, open late the first, second, and third right before the holiday. So we're considering, and a lot will depend on, the interview schedule, how quick we're able to, get people onboarded and trained and ready to run the library. But I'm thinking July 8th will probably be a good target for extending the hours, because by then we should be able to have everyone hired through the process. And we won't be hiring a whole bunch of people right before a holiday and saying, all right, you're gonna work, until 8 p.m.
Right.
on July the 3rd.
And they're probably
twiddle your
gonna be-
thumbs while no one is coming.
They're
to
going to
the
be
library.
more ready to start after that week, too.
Mhm.
So,
And the last thing I've got is that we have an Instagram account now. There's little buttons for it on the website, which we've spiffied up a little bit. And on it, Rebecca is posting, she started with like an introduction to the building, an introduction of all the staff. Now she's running with the Massachusetts Teen Book Awards, and she and Deb are doing a display here inside the library up the stairs to try to engage teens in reading, these books, which are on the docket to be elected as the Mass Teen Book Award in September, and then they'll vote. And she wanted me to also point out that the lilacs in front of the library weren't there until the 1970s. Because she did a cool thing where you can see like a picture of the library right when it was built, and then like every good picture we have of the front of the library, you can like
Right.
scroll through and see it in all of the historical periods. And I mean, it looks exactly the same, except for there's no shrubs until you get to the 1970s, because I think that those beds were planted as part of the 250th or the big, Jubilee celebration or something.
No, because that was after I was in the 80s. I became a trustee, so that was the 250th celebration was after that.
It was after that.
After
I
82.
don't know when they came about.
But no, they were there when I was a trustee, so I don't know either. But that's interesting. I remember planting. There were only lilacs there, and then we put in the burning bush trees or shrubs, which are an invasive plant right now. But back when we got them, they weren't. So, so we weren't breaking any rules, and the rhododendron, that's the other one that
we've got hydrangeas out there too.
Yeah, I don't think we did that. Well, maybe we did do hydrangeas, but it was one time.
But the lilacs have just like split and split and split. So if anybody needs lilacs or knows of anyone who needs lilacs, I mean, you could come get like 100 cuttings from the lilacs in front of the library, and it wouldn't do a dent of damage.
Maybe I'll do that.
I saw them there. I was tempted,
too.
but I controlled myself.
Yeah. To think about it. I've got so much stuff going on here. Yeah, one more thing.
I have to say the front of the library looks gorgeous
Mm-hmm.
with the picnic tables and the bushes and
Yeah, I keep seeing people use the picnic tables too, which it looks like we need pictures of that. It looks so.
You know what I was just thinking as I was driving through? I need to go sit there and read a book
yep.
in one of the Adirondack chairs. So I'm thinking, can we get some of the trustees to show up, whatever, taking selfies or show up at the same time, sitting around and reading. And you know what? That might encourage other people to come and sit down. I'm serious.
I think we need more fixtures so people can spread out and be comfortable with distance from each other if we don't want to make it a super hot spot. And Gail thinks that we should plant some sort of shrubs or get some fencing that goes up along the road and down the driveway next to Unibank, so it's kind of enclosed off so that you're not like right there next to the street. There's something between the people and the street, because we have thought of having a book club out there. Sci-fi book club has at least, but it's just too loud.
But it
It's
also,
something to think about. To put up. It's simple to put up. Just a lattice work, if nothing else,
I would
along
think
there.
I would not favor anything like that, just because I think if you do something like that, then it makes it easier to be vandals, to go in there and not be seen from the street.
Right. That's
I just
true.
don't think that's a great idea.
That's a point. Good point.
What about a little 2 or 3 foot picket fence?
That's not going to block out the noise.
So little kids can walk out and impale themselves on it.
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
no. Okay. Never mind.
It wouldn't have to be spiky.
Yeah.
Why not?
I say let's just leave it the way it is and just you can
Yeah.
put up the umbrella around the picnic table that's over the picnic table and choose a time when there's not full sun there, this morning at least. Anyhow, I'm not sure how the sun goes on Main Street. I'm serious. I'll go there and read. I'll sit and read. I'm going to do it. When I'm not working in my garden or in the pool or sitting in my front yard, I will go there and I will read. And I challenge every other board member to do the same.
Good idea.
See what I can do.
All right? So let's move on. We went off track there, huh? All right, so we're under accessibility next steps, right?
Yep. So the reason Matt has not talked to the architectural firm about our project is because he was waiting for them to wrap up another project. Basically, don't throw another potato, at them until they give a potato back and they have a hand to hold a potato. That has happened, so hopefully there will be some traction and movement on this before the next meeting.
Good.
Oops. Hey,
But I don't have anything else to report on accessibility.
okay. Basement renovations.
The brick repair and the painting is done. I don't know who all has seen it and who all has not, but it's very bright and it looks good down there. Rebecca's moving all of her archive stuff out of the friends room back into there, and then we'll move the friends stuff back into the friends room. But the plan right now is we think the best idea would be to move Deb into the old storage room, get her desk and her work materials and her stations and all that stuff in the same spot. And we can clear out the room that is at the bottom of the stairs, that sort of landing area, and make it something more publicly accessible, either some stacks or a business pod or a teen room, whatever ends up working in that space at the time. But step one is getting Deb and storage and, staff stuff out of there. So to that end, Brian LaValle, who, I talked to Matt about, if we want to do some things in the basement that are not, major renovative work, but just, basically handyman projects to make it accessible, he says, use Brian LaValle. So I brought him in to look at stuff. I showed him our long laundry list of things to do. And he recommended scrubbing and refinishing the beams instead of installing any kind of drop ceiling because it would just look so much better. We've got old wood, good looking wood, antique looking stuff, and making that shiny and good looking rather than, sealing it over with drywall or drop ceiling tiles. It would be a better respect to the building. That won't help light. So we also recommended installing some strip LEDs. Maybe sound dampening foam panels will be necessary. It's a work in progress. What we're actually going to do here, he's in the process of quoting it out, and it's not done yet. Another thing he quoted out was replacing the windows in the basement because right now the windows down there don't work. A lot of them are cracked, and we have no UV protection. So anything we put along the back of the archive wall just it gets destroyed. Like that's where we used to put all the Christmas books because no one cared about them a whole lot except for at Christmas time, and they're all yellow, brittle, nasty because of the UV damage coming in from that window. That's not what you want happening in an archive or really anywhere else. But that quote came out over $11,000. So this is going to be my first experiment in trying to create a good capital project. Because if it's over $10,000, things get involved. We can bundle it up. We can put it before the capital committee. And if we can get projects like this in the pipeline, then, we won't all the time be saying, we need to fix this and we need to do it out of grants.
Right, exactly.
We need a budget for it. It's just in the pipeline for those kinds of projects. And it's up to the town to decide whether to do the maintenance or not. We say, this is the project we need, and it's up to somebody else to fund it. And I want to get more of our stuff into projects like this. Like it's how we did the security system. It's how we did some other repairs previously. What did we do? We did the security system, and I think we did some masonry repairs outside. And it's not coming out of our grant money.
But you know what,
it doesn't have to
Justin?
be a special article either. It can be something for the
No, exactly. Justin, this is town property. They need to maintain their property.
Yeah, but he's
I think
got
they
a
will.
budget now for maintaining it.
Mhm.
What is it, $20,000 or something?
It's
So,
somewhere between 18 and 20.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't want the focus to go to these individual smaller projects away from us getting handicapped accessible. I think that's where we should be. Well, that's where I'm pushing my way. So I want to get the library accessible, and I think it can get accessible.
It's not either or. It's both at the same time because
yeah, no, but I think that's asking a bit too much. We've been waiting for this for how many years? 27 years. And for these sorts of the $11,000 here, $11,000 there, it just I think you're taking the importance of the accessibility stuff a step lower, and that I'm fighting for, the accessibility thing. I want it done sooner than 27 years.
I understand. That's a good point, Ellie.
Yeah,
Other thoughts?
it's an entirely different pipeline, so I don't think it's taking any focus away from handicap accessibility.
I'd like to open this up to other trustees. Are there other thoughts on this? About going for saving everything for accessibility?
Well, if one doesn't affect the other, it shouldn't matter. And if there's funding there to do the windows, and it's a fund that's always going to be there for maintenance type of things, I'm all for it.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Capital has a lot of applications. I'm on Capital applications for things. So it doesn't 100% cover all requests that it's given every year.
Right,
So it's it's not a given.
right.
I just don't want to do a project that's going to be undone by any accessibility project.
Yeah.
That if the windows are put in and we keep them, that's great. But if they have to be moved because of moving walls or something, that's not great.
Like Betty, it's a good point, but I don't think that's an issue because it's the windows are the windows. But I think your point is well taken as far as staying focused on accessibility. Wow. All right.
Anybody else?
I guess we're all set. Um, so that would have to be something we would discuss again in the future, Justin, right? Is this something that you need to do now? Get a sense from the board?
I mean, it would be nice to have a sense from the board. I thought everyone would kind of be excited by the possibilities of getting windows repaired.
All right, let
It's-
me ask you
we
this.
are used to the town not supporting library building initiatives and maintenance, but it's because we've never asked. We've never participated in the process. We wait till the nth hour and we say we need a special article to cover this instead of putting our needs out there and letting the capital committee decide whether it's worth
So,
funding or not.
okay, so
And
I've
this
got,
will not take an iota of Matt's attention away from an accessibility project.
all right, that's all
Everything
I
I'm
needed to
talking
hear.
about with Brian LaValle, I've said, we're looking at a major, accessibility project soon. This is about getting us ready for that rather than, doing anything around it. So, I mean, again, I think it's just two completely separate pipelines.
Okay,
of
that's
projects.
perfect. That's all I needed to hear. So,
Yeah, I would be up for asking for the windows.
Me too.
I think it makes sense.
Regardless, it will have to come back for more discussion because we don't have it's not
Absolutely.
quoted out yet.
Yeah.
but
don't have
I
a
would
quote
say,
for this
all
put
right,
out.
okay, so for an endorsement of the boards for the basement renovations, I would entertain a motion. How would we put this?
Well, why don't we just table it till next meeting? Because, like I said, I don't have a quote yet.
All right, okay,
But
we'll
if
table
we're not
it.
interested
But I think
in
if we can get some
Captain.
more information, I'd like to get some actual numbers and an either or, if we do this or that.
Yeah, so you would identify each or have a quote for each level of renovation that you're talking about. Is that what you're saying, sort of?
Well, what I'm saying is Justin has received this information and this person is saying, and this sounds really good. It sounds like something that really should be done. But if we can't do that, it's kind of like, if we can't do that, then is there anything else that would suffice? But I'm not sure I don't think I'm getting my point across. It's just, I'm fine
Yeah,
with
it's just
tabling this.
it needs a specific quote. I agree with that.
I'd like to get some more
Yeah.
information
And
on,
the reason why we're dealing with Brian LaValle is because he's a single proprietor of this business that he does. So he doesn't have any helpers. And therefore, we don't need to go out for bids, right?
unless it's over $10,000, which in this case it is, because replacing the windows he quoted it out at $11,000. So before we did anything, we would need 3 quotes, or else we would need to go through the combis like Mass State contract system. But that's a Matt level thing. I poked him as to what would happen because I've never done this with a capital plan before. I know you get a quote, you put it in the pipeline, but if it's more than $10,000, you have to have 3 quotes.
You have to get 3 bids,
but you don't want to get the bids now because the project might not be funded for another 5 years. So
yeah, and the way capital receives them or is it's presented to I mean, Adam has a lot that he submits, and he says, the bids are for 1 week. It's good for 1 week, and the way towns work, it takes months.
Usually good for at least 30
years.
days.
Yeah, it's like you're asking for something and it's not for this fiscal year, it's for next fiscal year. So it wouldn't even be happening this year because we bid on it, or it was voted on at the last annual town meeting. So it's not going to be voted on again until the annual town meeting next May for funding in whatever year that is.
2026. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
So
this is like anything we
it's a
put before
long,
the
long
capital
time
committee is a
away.
long-term thing.
So I don't think you're going to get those windows quickly.
I'm not expecting to get them quickly. I just want to get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Right.
that would be good. Let's
Yeah,
table
yeah,
it. Okay.
Okay.
As chair, I'm going to say we're going to table this till next meeting
Okay.
and move on to the outside brickwork.
This is another thing that I'm going to need to put on a capital plan because Jan Sudika, the Build Max guy who just fixed the basement, looked at the outside bricks where I had pointed out that they were deteriorating under one of the chimneys. And I just asked him to go around and do an inspection of the whole building. And we've got some bricks in the front that are crumbling and falling apart from the outside in. We've got a lot of trim around windows, like where the caulking and stuff is peeling off, which needs to be kind of fixed. A lot of the paint that was applied to the, if you notice, wherever we have like white window paint around windows, there's now like a whole bunch of white stuff going down the bricks on the outside. It looks almost like it's lining and turning into like white stuff, but he said it's paint. Because the rain washes it down into the bricks and they weren't sealed and all that stuff. But anyway, what I want to get from them is a quote for just completely restoring the exterior of the building, washing all the bricks, replacing the bathrooms, replacing the mortar that's crumbling, cleaning everything, sealing up the deteriorated caulks and seams, and then sealing it all with a moisture protectant so that this doesn't keep happening to us. And then once it is done, he says we should plan on reapplying a water resistant protectant to the bricks every 10 years, which is something we have not done. And that in theory, and this is one of those rabbit holes that I went down because I noticed that, back in like the 1920s and 30s, there was this recurring thing that happened every few years, oiling the bricks. And it's like, well, what do they mean oiling the bricks? What are they doing?
Right.
And it was preventative maintenance that everyone just kind of collectively forgot needed to be done to bricks. So this is another thing I'm hoping to get in the capital pipeline to be voted on in May of next year.
Yeah, again, that's a long time. I'm hoping that will be accessible by then, but
Right.
I had some questions about it. If you could get a quote individually, again, this would sort of what I was trying to say a minute ago. For each, like washing, how much, the quote for washing the bricks, the quote for repointing, if you're repointing any bricks, the quote for the sealant, which I'm not quite understanding what a sealant is. I've never heard of it before. So, and that it has to be done every 10 years. Is this something that the Building and Facilities Committee has talked about for all the brick buildings, like the post office and the library and the municipal center and the old school that's just sitting there? How often has anybody done sealant on, I mean, anybody out there, or Dawn, maybe you have done, you live in an old house, so.
Yeah, with a lot of bricks, so it does need to get repointed and sealed. Fred handles it, but I know he works on it every maybe couple of years.
Okay, so we live in an old house too, and we've gotten some bricks repointed once, and that's it.
Huh.
So, and
I
the
don't-
house hasn't fallen down yet since
Yeah, I don't know what the
1790.
difference is. Yeah.
You know, but so I need more convincing of and since Build Max sounds like a bigger company than Brian LaValle does, then
It's not.
you
It's
would
also a two-man operation.
that if it's a two-man operation, you have to go out for bid. If it's a single proprietor, then you don't have to go out for bid.
But the disadvantage of quoting it all out individually is for each phase, they will have to rent a lift. And that in and of itself is between a $4,000 and $6,000 rental.
Okay, but I mean, you have to spell it out for me because I'm just don't know anything about it. As you know, that's what I'm asking for in a quote. If it's going to, and I need that information before I can make a thoughtful vote.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't have a quote yet. It's something they're going to work on this summer-ish because it's a big quote.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is the library able to have Mass Save come in and look at
I don't think so.
the building itself?
Yes, we've done that.
And they could provide us with proof that these things need to be done or addressed, and they could give us a discount in addition to that if we choose to get those things repaired.
They don't offer discounts in this area. All of theirs are tied to like insulation, heat retention, building envelopes, and electricity consumption.
Well, like the windows in the basement would be saving heat and energy, and maybe that would qualify under their thing.
I can poke about the windows. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, and does the MBLC do anything with windows? Preservation?
No, they do
stuff?
whole building renovations or nothing.
But maybe Mass Save could get the windows under 10,000.
Even if it is under 10,000, like window replacement is a project I would still want to bundle with something else to get into capital pipeline, because I see no need for the trustees to spend grant money on windows in a public building.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So we're going to
But
move.
Mass Save might be able to prove to the town that it's very necessary to be done,
Mm-hmm.
Mass Save comes. Okay, Lee. We've used Mass Save a few times here.
Uh-huh.
I had
Mass
them
Save
inspect
comes
the
in.
building twice.
They're
And
doing
both times they
assessment.
gave us some light bulbs and that was it.
Exactly. They offer you some power surge strips. If you're a resident, you can get discounts on insulation. I don't think it's going to help the library in any way.
Well, I disagree, because they came into my house and they gave me 15 things that needed to be done and that they could save me money on if I did this, and A, B, C, D, and then they would get a contractor.
Okay, so the difference is a residence
Right. I know. I
and a
understand.
municipality.
Right.
So that
That's
would
why-
be the thing to find out.
That's why I was asking if Mass Save would make a difference.
So
I'll shake that
Um,
tree.
What about
But
the
just-
green communities thingamajiggy?
Green Communities Compact.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
For the windows.
Well, that reminded me of something else, but I don't want to get on a tangent, is the communities. It's like EPA or CPA, the Community Preservation Act, must be CPA. That's not available yet, but hopefully down the road, but way down the road, to apply for grants for municipal buildings.
Is that, I think Sturbridge became one of those CPA people, towns, and what it was a town wide vote that an election time, that people had to
Yes,
agree to raise their taxes
yes.
to have this, and it was good for things like
Uh-uh.
um,
That doesn't look good.
renovations of or saving materials and stuff. This is very nice. Is Justin still there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, but
Taking it.
lots of movement on
My
Lots of
screen got very
binaries.
exciting for a minute.
Yeah, Ellie, to answer your question, I'm not spearheading it, but it is what I've heard about it is really interesting because yes, it would mean raising taxes, but it's something like, I don't know, $50 a household on average. And then you're eligible for all these grants, and some of the other towns have done some amazing things, and you've got money from the state instead of just Douglas people having to pay for everything.
No, but it is basically what happened in Sturbridge was that whatever they had to pay into it, that's what became the and it ended up being thousands of dollars. And I think one of the things they did was they photographed, made digital, all the town reports from the start of the town
Mm.
to the present, and that was, and then put them on CDs. The library ended up selling them for them, and that money would just go back into but not many people wanted it, but a lot of people did. It was
Yeah, it's going to be one of those contentious things because
Yep.
taxes involved.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but it was substantial. It was not $50 a house. It was more than that, but it was important to Sturbridge to do it. And,
yeah,
and they did do it.
there's different
Oh,
percentages.
okay, I'm gonna
Well, the
jump
house
in
is
here.
pretty substantial.
Can I jump in?
Mhm.
Justin, what are we seeing?
Hmm?
I'm seeing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Oh, I'm seeing a normal screen. Is no one else seeing a normal screen?
No, we're not.
Oh,
We're seeing lines and dots and dashes.
Oh,
okay.
We're
I
seeing the
stopped sharing.
binary system at its best.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, July 1st, I'm probably going to buy a new computer.
Let's do it.
Share the screen. Let's try this again.
All right,
now we've got you, and there's Danielle.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Eating my almonds.
Okay, there's not an other for other building issues, but one quote I do have finalized is $5,700 to remove all of the radiators and the pipes and the registers that are in the because in the program room we don't have radiators, we have the baseboards. So to strip out all this stuff that is no longer useful and taking up space and paint the walls in the basement up about 4 foot just to cover up the mess would be $5,700. And this is something I would like to just tackle immediately in July with our repairs and maintenance budget, unless the trustees would rather pay for it out of grants. But I don't see a reason why we can't just pay for it out of repairs and maintenance now, because we got it.
If we got the money, just do it. You don't need a vote, do you?
Unless y'all want to pay for it out of grants, no. And I
No,
don't know
do
why
you
you
have,
would.
do you have the money to do it?
Do it. Do it.
That's going to
Just do
open
it.
up so much space.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Not just upstairs too, but I mean in the program room. Like it's easy
Right.
not to be cognizant of how much space is lost because of the baseboards that stick out about 3 inches from both of the walls. So,
Right.
you know, once those are gone, you've got another half a foot of space, which is considerable.
In our
And
library.
little children are bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, you don't want anybody tripping over them.
And all of these radiators that, you know, parents are like shushing their kids around because they're afraid they're going to
Right.
burn themselves on, even though
Right.
they don't work. Well, it just won't be here anymore.
There you go.
That's great.
That seems reasonable, actually.
Okay, what's next since we can't see anything?
You still can't see anything?
No.
Grants is next. The capital campaign last month was at 239,551. And thanks to the Friends of the Library book sale, now we're at 241,042. So we've broken 200.
Woohoo!
Wow.
I thought was nice.
That's
Yep.
exciting.
Can I think I want to bring it up at this point. And grants is LIGMEG, or is
Mhm.
that, is this just where we are right now for trying to get handicapped accessible dough?
That is where we are trying to get handicap accessible. And I will show you the spreadsheet. Well, no, because my screen share is not freaking, or I would show you the spreadsheet that it comes from.
Well, I was wondering if before you spend all the LIGMEG money, would we be able to take $10,000 out of it to put into the grants, which would be the grant for the handicapped accessible stuff? We've already put in how much? 22,000 from
So
grants.
22. We have reserved 22,000. Wait, no, that's wrong. That's the wrong number. Yeah, 22,000 is reserved for the capital campaign from grants.
Yeah. So I'd like to move that we reserve an additional $10,000, bringing the total to $32,000 from LIGMEG.
Got a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Discussion?
I don't see why we would do that when if we get the money for handicapped renovations, they're going to pay for the whole thing. And we will have lost 10,000 that we might need to use for something other than that.
We haven't spent it yet. It's just reserved. And who's paying for the whole thing? The
Town?
241,042 is what we've raised so far. And our goal was 400,000. But I think the town administrator is of the mind that we will not go for the Massachusetts way of doing buildings, but just get what we need, not what the MBLC wants us to do, or Massachusetts wants us to do, or to make.
I have full confidence that once Matt is on this project and interfacing with the architectural firm, that it will coalesce because he keeps things going. He keeps fires lit. And he's not wasteful. I mean, I trust him to see us through this. And he has said, you know, that the town has the money to do this as long as we can make a reasonable plan and come out, you know, with something that's to the tune of, you know, 2 million or so. So I think the game has changed a lot in that regard. My gut instinct would be to, rather than reserve any more for the capital campaign, to keep it fluid so that if we reach a point where we need to pay the architectural firm for planning and design, then we can do
use
that.
LIG, money.
Then we can do that without lowering the amount that we've raised. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Without rolling that clock backwards or downwards. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
That said, you know, passing 250 is also really good PR. So, I mean, there's pros and cons here.
I'd be
Yes.
inclined to wait.
Okay, well, I'll withdraw my, my motion.
Thank you.
I'm sure we can find someone to give us 10,000.
Well, the auction tends to use.
It's true.
get that
Yeah, I bet
money.
we'll be there
So,
by the end of
That's
the
true.
by the end of
It's
the
just
year.
that there's a lot of us working very hard for this.
I'm gonna, and again, okay, Ellie, I'm gonna put out a challenge. A couple of challenges. I don't know how many board members are actually also friends members. Whether you are or not, I'm gonna challenge every one of you to at least donate one thing and bid on one thing.
I will.
I'll try to find something worthy.
Anyhow, that's one. I'm done.
Okay.
We're all set, Justin.
Okay, so the next thing is LRP updates. We got all of the budget increases that we asked for, so now it's just a matter of executing, you know, it well and being a good steward of it over the upcoming fiscal year, and you know, modifying operations to become faster, better, more professional, and you know, better at what we do. And the next thing on the agenda is friends. Oh, well, no, you know, one thing that, you know, LRP update, strategic planning stuff has been staff enrichment. Y'all wanted reports on staff enrichment. And that definitely happened with the Massachusetts Library Association convention. Everybody got to go except me, because I was taking care of a sick kid, and then got sick myself. But everyone came back with some really interesting ideas. One of the ones that I'm the most excited about is Rebecca found a resource called Living Room Conversations. It's resources for civic engagement and community enrichment by just like having conversation prompts to bring people together in an informal space that's not Facebook, and to learn how to talk with each other about, you know, the you know, like, what defines us as community, you know, like what is our shared history, what is our vision for the future, what, you know, opportunities are there out there for, you know, helping out and making a difference in the ways that people can make. And she wants to couple that with some social media literacy and start doing a lot of, like, you know, education campaigns on how to use our resources, our digital resources like Libby, our databases, and other things, and then hopefully kind of rope in some other town departments too, so that instead of just teaching people, you know, how to use library resources effectively, we can start teaching people, you know, if you have other problems, this is the department you call. You don't go to Facebook and ask, you know,
right,
what do I do about this? You know, like, here's a tool for, you know, all the civic resources that are available to you to solve all these problems. So I wish her the best of luck. I hope we have tons of success with this. If we don't, we'll just, you know, stretch hours out more next year.
For the minutes, what was that program called?
Living Room Conversations.
Okay.
Another interesting idea they came back with was launch pads for kids, which are like tablets but they have curated content already on them. So you can get like a life skills launch pad that's based around, you know, like learning elementary math, or, you know, elementary literature or middle school literature or, life skills, all sorts of different things.
Right.
So we want to trial circulating some of those next year,
Well,
which can
I
come out of
see,
our circulating materials budget.
Justin, I see, talking about life skills, that the town of Oxford's were offering a free life skills program at their community center. Life Skills 101. So I think it's really needed. That would be great if our library could offer that.
And that's all I've got for long range plan updates.
Okay. What's next?
Up next is the Friends.
Okay, the Friends raised some dough, $1,396 for from the book sale and plant sale and other sale, which was very nice. And
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Here, here.
and we are meeting in June, I think towards the end of June. I can't remember the date, but to start planning our auction stuff.
June
So-
25th.
The 25th?
Yes.
Okay, 25th of June. That's a Saturday?
No.
No, it should be a Tuesday, I believe.
Oh, no, that's,
Well,
yeah.
for the
This is
Friends.
Friends.
we-
Friends is different than Trustees.
Oh,
Trustees meet
okay.
on Tuesday. Friends
I'm
meet
sorry.
on Saturday
I'm
at
sorry.
10 a.m.
Mhm.
And so I'm not sure I don't know if I even put it in my,
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I was trying to pull it up on my phone, but now I'm going to move to my computer because I accidentally just moved my finger wrong and made the widget go away.
All right, can we go? What's next?
well, we're waiting for the date of the Friends meeting for auction planning.
Right. Oh. And the Friends are commended for their wonderful support of the library.
Actually,
Absolutely.
July 13th is the next meeting, Friends of the Library meeting.
Oh, July. Phew.
Woo!
Here.
Oh, baby.
Okay, I didn't. All right, 10 a.m. I'm going to write it down on my phone
Looking
now.
at June and starting to freak out, thinking I forgot to put it there. But no, it's in
All
July.
right, so I'm going to move along. What's next on the agenda?
Other old business.
Any other old business? Hearing none, let's move on to new business.
New business.
Justin, new business?
I wanted to ask for a $500 a month programming budget to come out of LIG, MEG, and FY25.
I would entertain a motion to approve what Justin requested.
Second.
No, you have to say it first.
Oh,
I move, so moved. Lee,
So
say
moved.
so. All right,
so moved.
okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion?
I have a question. I just, is there a threshold that you sort of set for when, I mean, have you got a plan first? Who have you contacted? What sort of programs are you going to come up with and stuff? And if only 2 people come to a $300 program, is that a failure and never to be happen again? Or do you keep on spending $300 on
Oh.
people? It's I sort of feel that we should, I don't want to do the $500 a month right now, but if you could just tell us every month when you're going to do something, I don't know if it's, and that's coming out of LIG, MEG, is it have to be that amount every month or,
It doesn't have to be that
what
amount
is your
every month.
plan of action, for these programs? I sort of want to see something instead of, oh, sure, just do it. I'm not doubting you, but I would like a plan.
Well, and how does
Yeah,
this fit in with the mass cultural grants? Do you still need that much more than the grants? And we already paying for Deb Hudgens. This is in addition to that. So these are things we don't have already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, right now, the Cultural Council is pretty much bankrolling our summer reading program. They're paying for all the big performers that are coming for the summer. But I'd kind of like to keep some of that summer momentum going throughout the year instead of just saying, look, we've got big library events going on every morning at the library in the summer. But the rest of the year, we're not doing a whole lot.
Right.
There is a one-up games that they came back from MLA conference with, wanting to bring out to lead some gaming tournaments and some gaming education seminars. Some of those are series rather than one-offs. They want to do a Sisters in Crime series where some people come out and do some mystery. I don't understand it all, but mystery and crime books written by people in New England. Which could be a hit or miss, but it got 2 staff people interested in. There is an appraisal program that staff were interested in. But also, I mean, like a lot of times we just have people reach out and say, we're going to be in your area block booking, with some other libraries. Do you want to have us? And it's like, well, I don't know if we want to have you or not, because we don't know whether we can pay for you or not. So our answer is always no. If we have, a $500 a month allowance to spend on programming when it pops up like that, then we would be able to say yes, instead of saying, well, we can get back to you later, after which time they've already filled in their schedule and are done.
And if you don't use it one month, is it going to add on the next month?
No, I don't think so. I think that, trying to spread, because the goal is to spread out, not try to like jam it all in one. So, and to give, to give the appearance, and not just to give the appearance, but actually to do the thing of having, like just something happening at the library every month, some kind of educational reading related program to, get people to come, everyone always asks for programs. And then whenever we do them, it's really hit or miss to whether, they work or not. But I feel like, especially with like some of the adult art programs went over really well. All of those that we did last year were booked solid. Like the Pisanki egg thing and the clay Yetis thing, and maybe some stuff for teens. I don't know. A lot of this will honestly just be throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. But we need a little bit of allowance to throw things at the wall and see what sticks, if we're going to find what sticks.
Can we do it not all at once? Can we say, all right, we'll give you $1,500 and see how it goes for the first 3 months or something like that?
I mean, do it on a month-to-month basis if you want.
Well, I that's a lot of money. That's all.
I think it's a worthwhile use of the money, though. I mean, it will bring people into the library, gives them more visibility. It's
I
something
agree.
people ask for.
I have to agree. I have to say, are we okay?
What's the
As
downside?
trustees, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to bring people into the library? Are we trying to keep away the evil people who shouldn't be in there? Do we want to offer this one thing to one type of the population, or do, as trustees of this glorious building, want to open it up to the community and expand it and make it as accessible as possible, even though we don't have the actual physical ways to do it yet.
Yeah.
Can we take this money? It's not a lot of money, and work on a program. Maybe 1 month doesn't take $500. Maybe another program takes $1,500. I am all in favor of approving this $500 a month allowance.
I am also.
Yep, I agree. We can always make adjustments if
All
Correct.
right,
as we
so
see how it goes.
I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the $500 a month allowance that Justin suggested, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Abstain? All right, the ayes have it. We can move on.
Cool. That's very exciting.
Before we move on, do y'all want some input into which of the Blackstone Valley Veggie Gardeners programs y'all find most interesting?
Not really.
Would
I'd like to move
y'all
on to have
come
my
to
supper.
programs at the library that involve gardening and
I think that's a great
whatnot?
idea. Let's move on.
Okay. All right. The last thing I was going to ask for was the $2,000 to augment the circulating materials budget this fiscal year.
Oh, right.
Oh,
That
so to cover everything that, so that you are, the material expenditure requirement is fulfilled, right? That's
Yes,
what
ma'am.
for.
Mhm.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept Justin's request for $2,000?
From
3,000.
LIGMEG.
Oh, 3,000, I'm sorry.
3,000.
3,000. I thought he just said 2,000.
Justin, it's 3,000, right?
I thought it was two,
All right, it's two. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have nothing in front of me.
but y'all know how I am with numbers, so let me check my email.
It's 3.
I mean, I'd be happy to have three.
No, I think you said, you're right, it was two. The last second thought I heard someone whisper three.
Yeah, I just sent that email earlier. Where is it?
It's 3.
All right,
Yes, two K.
right, so it's for two.
Okay, so moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? All right, let's move on.
The next item on the agenda is next meeting, June 25th, 2024 at 5 p.m.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Me too.
All right,
And then adjourning.
meeting adjourned.
And what
Motion to
time is it?
adjourn.
What time is it?
It is 6:29 p.m.
Oh. Okay,
All
thank
right.
you. Hey,